I think I picked a bad game to start off this series with. I'll describe it more in the comments to not waste time here, but to set the mood real quickly, Secret Menu is a series where I'll be discussing indie games and other lesser known titles in a more condensed form. If you take a look at my past few videos, they're somewhat long, so this series plus another I'll be doing will be like 10 minutes max per video. And even though these are purposely shorter, I don't have a lot to say about today's game. Gris is not so much a game as it is more of an interactive art piece, and the art piece part of it didn't really do much for me. The gameplay itself was fun, but what I felt was the true meat to this game, I'll probably forget about it in a short time. Also, the game was only a little over 4 hours long, so I don't have a lot to work with here. Ignoring the more artistic elements to this game, this is a puzzle platformer, with you only using 3 buttons to perform all the actions you unlock throughout the game. And the brief time you spend with it, you're mostly going forward, trying to collect these little orbs to fill out constellations, which act as platforms or bridges to proceed into the next area. Very soon after you start, you begin figuring out these small environmental puzzles or platforming challenges to collect these orbs, as of course, you can't just have the whole game with you simply walking up to one to collect it. I would be much more negative on the game if those puzzles hadn't been so fun to play with. And by puzzles, I'm also including the platforming aspect of the game. Which is odd to say when thinking back on it, as the game was very easy. There were no puzzles where I was starting to lose patience on how to figure it out, or wondering if I should look it up online. Everything was very simple, but always satisfying to figure out. Like eating a classic cheesecake. Nothing fancy or extra to it, but a delight nonetheless to bite into. And you would think this game being so easy would be a bit of a turnoff for me. Like, why play this easy, artsy kind of game? But for one thing, this is one of the rare cases I went to a game completely blind. I didn't even know what genre it was before playing it. And 2, sometimes you gotta keep things laid back. That's something I really like about this game, which is in its simplicity. When it's not busy being visual pornography, it keeps things to a minimum. The only time the game gives you instructions is when obtaining a new power, and shows you which button to press or hold to use it. Through visuals alone, you instantly know collecting orbs will let you proceed, and simple common sense logic will let you figure out how your growing set of powers can allow you to complete puzzles. The game treats the player like, hey, you played video games before, right? Okay, you can guess where this is going, no need to explain further. And at the same time, everything is simple enough that someone who has never played a game before can probably finish the game with no problem. That's about as much as I can say about the gameplay, and about as much as I can say about what I'll truly take away from this game. I like to talk about visuals when discussing games, and in today's case, the visuals are the meat to the game opposed to the seasoning. The game is gorgeous to look at, but more importantly, the visuals are storytelling itself. I called it an interactive art piece, as it's like a painting that evolves over time as you progress. Gris is great in Spanish, and the game is very much that at the beginning, but slowly but surely you bring back color to the world. If you're not doing some light platforming or puzzle solving, you'll likely be busy enjoying just how aesthetically pleasing the game is. On a somewhat related note, I too play this docked to capture footage of course, but I very much recommend playing this handheld, as sometimes the camera zooms far out and you can barely see where you are at. That way you can actually see where the hell your character is, plus enjoy the pretty art style up close and personal. My one true complaint which isn't subjective, so maybe take my advice. As for the story itself, I really can't comment much on it. It's all metaphorical, and I kinda get what the story was trying to say, but to be honest, it didn't do much for me. I know for some people out there, the story will leave a much bigger impact, but for me, all I got out of this game was a simple, fun platformer, which also happened to be pretty to look at. To tie back into visuals, yes, this game is really pretty, but so are a lot of other games. Case in point, the game I just talked about last time, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, has gorgeous vistas and worlds to explore, while also having a deep RPG taking place there. I won't quite call Gris style over substance, as it was very much intentional, and I get what the team wanted to get at with this game, but if it weren't for me going in blind, I probably would have stayed away from it, which leads into my final words for today. I do wish the game was more of a proper game than it is, as I felt if it expanded upon its puzzle platforming, you would get a solid puzzle platformer, but the game devs clearly had a specific vision for this game, and making this game anything else would have made it lose focus on what kind of story the team wanted to tell. The game cost $17, which is quite steep for a 3 to 5 hour game, but I'm very picky when it comes to game prices versus game length, and I don't feel like I wasted money here, which I think says a lot on how I truly feel about this game, despite me sounding so negative. A bit disappointing, but I don't feel ripped off. While personally, Gris was at its best with its puzzle platforming, I very much acknowledge this game has its audience that will fully appreciate everything that it's doing. If you like what you saw, then go ahead and give it a try. Maybe you'll be one of those people that comes to really love this game for everything it has to offer.